How does your product use or challenge conventions, and how does it represent social groups or issues? This is creative critical reflection question number 1. For my coursework, I created a popular culture magazine aimed at a mainly young audience of anime and manga fans. This is a very common genre which is popular throughout the world, and therefore I feel that my magazine should have quite a worldwide appeal. Um, Although I have stereotyped my audience in terms of their interests, that most of the people who will be reading my magazine are probably male, all types of people are also able to enjoy the contents of my magazine. In terms of conventions that I've followed, I have created a very conventional magazine. As the theorist says, media producers use conventions to create safe media products. Abercrombie. I have done the same thing to create a safe media product. In other words, a product that will be successful with audiences because they recognise the type of product I've made. In creating my magazine, I followed all the conventions of layout and design as well as the genre conventions. I will discuss the technical conventions that I followed. For my front cover, I created an eye-catching central image, which is common to all magazines. And of course, in the case of anime and manga magazines, that cover image is usually of an animated figure, which is what I have done. For the masthead, which is the name of the magazine, I used a unique font and a bold colour to make it recognisable and distinct from other magazines. The title of the magazine, Manga Web, hopefully reaches an audience that is essentially online, and that's why I chose that as a title for my magazine. I also used a different font and colour for the feature article cover lines to make it dominate the page over the others. The other reason for doing this is that conventionally in magazines, different font styles are used as well as different font sizes for the magazine front cover, and this is a convention that I have used, as you can see here. I created a dates line underneath the masthead and also employed the use of a barcode in the bottom right hand corner. I used a tagline to sell the magazine, or a strapline. I used various taglines to sell the articles inside the magazine. In other words, puff lines. And at the bottom of the page, I located strap lines to highlight the other stories in the magazine. Again, I used a variety of font sizes and colours for the text, and a simple colour palette comprised by blue, yellow and hot pink. I believe that these colours that are vibrant would appeal to my target audience. For my contents page, again, I followed a convention. As you can see from the real media text, I got my ideas from this magazine. I positioned my text in one column, and at the top of the page I put the issue number. I divided the content into two main categories, features and departments. For the sublines I used a smaller font, and at the bottom of the page I positioned the page number as the date and the magazine name. These are all conventions that you would find in most magazines for the contents. My double page spread is also a conventionally laid out and designed double page spread. These conventions that I discuss are common to all magazines, not just anime magazines. Firstly, because my audience is quite young, I've tried to create a cluttered, packed full visual piece for my magazine. I have employed the use of a headline as well as a standfast. I've used drop caps and text wrapping. The main image is centre left, drawing the audience's attention into the article. Another area that I've tried to follow the conventions is in the language and the register. The way I wrote my article was so that it would appeal to a young audience, where I directly refer to the audience. How does my magazine represent social groups and issues? One of the interesting things about anime and manga magazines are that female characters are often underrepresented. given that the genre mostly appeals to males. Main female characters are also more likely to be more curvaceous and behave more provocatively. On the other hand, male characters will be more likely to be portrayed as hypermasculine, will be more likely to be found using a weapon. To challenge this trope, for my illustrations I created only female and non-gender characters. With my cover illustration I tried to break this stereotype by constructing a representation of a strong female, not sexualised protagonist. In my contents page I use an illustration of a magical girl, a quite common trope in anime, but with a healthier body compared to the ones over-sexualised and idealised portrayed in the average anime magazine. The only male figure in my magazine is the fictitious graphic novel creator. And although they are male, I don't feel that I have stereotyped females negatively by having a male anime writer. It would have been interesting if my magazine could have featured more in the way of female anime artists, as I am one myself, and this might have been something I could have considered for my magazine. In many ways, my magazine does reinforce negative stereotypes of gender. The female characters that have been drawn in my magazine all have very curvaceous bodies and are certainly being constructed to be, for want of a better word, sexual objects. This is one of the features of anime and manga magazines, as well as anime and manga in general. The representations are often very patriarchal and negative in this sense. It would have been nice if I could have challenged this convention or this representation by producing anime characters that were less sexualized and created more positive role models of female manga characters. And it's certainly something I will consider in the future.